Hey guys and grills, welcome to the official MLG guide to object programming in Java. Today we will be covering lesson 6.3, which is on constructors.
So what are constructors? Basically, constructors are instance methods with the purpose of giving initial values to the object as it's created. For every class you create in Java, there is already a default constructor created for you. The default constructor assigns Boolean values to false, numeric values to 0, and all other values that aren't Boolean or numeric to null. So, for example, string values would be given the value of null, and even objects created in a different class would also be given the value of null.
Okay, I think it's time we create an object. Let's create a pizza object.
So for our pizza object, the fields we will have are toppings number 1, 2, and 3, the drink, the size of the pizza, the number of pizza dips they want, and also a Boolean option for a Dorito chip bag. So here's Tyrone. He is the customer that wants to buy pizza. We could think of him as the person who's using the program that was created by the pizza store. So he would have to call the pizza store, similar to how he would make a method call to the constructor.
Okay, let's see what happens when Tyrone makes an order for pizza.
Hello, my name is Tyrone. I would like to make an order for a standard pizza meal.
Okay, here's your order, Tyrone.
You what, mate? This order sucks.
So Tyrone's pizza order sucks. So let's see why it sucks. There's no toppings at all. There's no drink. There's also no pizza dip, no Dorito chip bag, and it comes in this really weird size as well. So looking at his pizza, it looks like the pizza store gave Tyrone the values of the default constructor that was automatically created. As you can see, the 3 toppings are set to null. That's why there's just a plain cheese pizza. There's no drink, as the drink option is set to null as well. The Dorito chip bag is set to false. The size is null, and the number of dips is set to 0. Okay, so now let's create our own default constructor that will override the one that was automatically created, because we want to set our own default values instead of using the one that was automatically created, since it had values like null, 0, and false.
Alright mate, let's make our own default, yay. Let's have topping number 1 as Ripperino Pepperino. Topping number 2 and 3 can stay as null. For the drink let's have Dasani water as the default. For the number of dips let's have 1 as the default number. For the Dorito chip bag let's have it as true. And finally for the size let's have it as medium. Do you like my Khan Academy paint skills?
Okay, so with these default values, when the customer orders the pizza, they won't get the previous default values, the ones that was automatically created. Instead, they'll get the ones that we created. So they will get pepperoni topping, they'll get a Dorito chip bag, they'll get Dasani water, they would get medium-sized pizza instead of that really weird size, and they will also get 1 pizza dip instead of 0. So it's really important when you're creating an object to override the default constructor that was already implemented by Java and to make your own one. So now that we have the default constructor overridden,
Alright mate, let's make more constructors, woohoo.
we can overload as much constructors as we want, as each constructor will be unique in its own way, as they will have different kinds of initialization values for the object. So going back to our pizza, let's say Tyrone doesn't want to just buy a standard pizza. Maybe he wants to get a different drink, or he wants to have different toppings. Maybe he doesn't want the chip bag. Maybe he wants more dip. So, as the pizza store, we will make a constructor that will let Tyrone choose which way he wants his pizza meal.
Hello, my name is Tyrone. I would like to make an order for a extra large pizza. I would like ripperino pepperino on my pizza along with mushrooms and green peppers. I would like a bottle of Mountain Dew. 4 pizza dips please. Dorito chip bag as well.
Okay, so for this constructor, we're going to make it so that it takes in the order from the customer Tyrone and uses those values as the initial values. So you can think of the values that the customer gives as what you would put in the parameters of the program, and whatever you put as your parameters, those values will be the initial values that the constructor assigned. Okay, so we're going to change these values into the values that he placed on his pizza meal order. And here is the result. Moving on, so let's say Tyrone wants to buy a second pizza that is identical to the first. We, as the pizza store, can make a constructor that takes in the values of the first pizza and copy it to the second. That way he'll have 2 pizzas of the same values.
I think it's time we do some coding.
What's going on, guys? It's me, Hamza Khan.
And I'm going to be talking about the 3 types of constructors. The correct way to write the method header for the default constructor is to start off with public first. Now, since constructors are instance methods, we don't write the word static, so we leave it as it is. What's the difference between constructors and instance method is constructors don't have return types in the method header, not even void. This is because it's implicit that the method returns an object, which is the type of object. In our case, it's pizza. Anyways, after we put the method identifier, which is always the name of the class, so we write pizza, because that's our name of the class. Lastly, we put brackets for the parameters, because our default constructor is empty, because we're not taking anything inside. Moving on to the body of the constructor, as you can see here, the values of the instance field are getting the values that we want to set as a default. For example, topping 1 starts with the value null, but since the user wants a value of pepperoni, the new value gets pepperoni. Let's output the values of pizza object using the default constructor. So the way we call it is a bit different than the instance methods. So let's name our pizza object P1. Now let's start off with pizza P1 gets new pizza, brackets, semicolon. This is how you call the constructor. So like I said, this is different than the regular instance method. What's different is that other instance method uses the format implicit value followed by dot method header, method identifier, and then parameter list. Whereas the constructor calls it by writing pizza object P1 followed by new and then object name and the parameter list. So now let's see if the values of P1 match our default constructor, and yeah, it does. Okay, now let's move on to the second constructor we talked about earlier, the one that allows the users to customize the values of whatever he or she wants to put inside the default values. Actually, the method header is similar to the default one, but we still have public pizza. The only difference is the parameter list, because we're inputting parameters. So basically we put the explicit values that will replace the implicit values. So let's say we want to make the number of dips the value of 4, and when we call it, this will replace the previous value, the default one, which is 0. Anyways, moving on to the body, this is similar to the default one, but the only difference is our own default values replacing the field values. So we have the implicit values from the parameter list replacing these values. Now let's test it and call pizza P2. So pizza P2 gets new pizza, and we will write all the values that we want to change in our parameters. Okay, now let's output the pizza to see if it matches our pizza parameters, and yeah, it does. Okay, moving on to our final constructor, the one that allows us to copy the previous object to the newly formed object. So basically it's 2 identical objects. So it's similar to the previous one. So you start off with public pizza. For the parameters, we put in the explicit pizza object that will take over the field values. So let's write pizza other. Now onto the body. similar to the other constructors, the implicit values will replace with the different values. The different values will be coming from our prime or pizza other, so we'll rate this as all the implicit values gets the values of the explicit other pizza. Now let's call the constructor to see if our code works. So let's make our object pizza p3 gets the exact values as the previous object created p2. So we rate pizza p3 gets pizza bracket p3 semicolon. Now let's output p3 to see if it gets exact same values as p2. And now let's compare the two values. Yeah, it matches the other one. Yay.
But wait. Pizza is Illuminati confirmed.